Okay, we're gonna get this started now. Ironic, I'm going to give this update on finally my update on artificial intelligence. Now, I've been working to try to get this out to you guys. Honestly, don't kill me for a while. We're gonna take our time with this today. So if you're not want to talk about artificial intelligence, etc., go on about your business. This is not the video for you. I am doing an update. I actually have two videos. I think it's two from about 5 to 6 years ago about artificial intelligence because I realized how much it was going to shift jobs, change the world as we know it, and really just shake up things. Now we're in it. So I want to give you guys a real time update of what's happening. Do I study it heavily? Yes and no. Reason why I say yes or no, I really study it to the thing to kind of know what's happening so that we can know how to pivot, what things to kind of pay attention to, where I want to encourage young people to go, what I think people should really focus on, how they should, update their businesses or just their lives in general. Also, responsible art AI is what I'm going to really start talking about, using my voice to talk about a lot. I could tell America's going to be very retroactive with having responsible AI that's not impacting energy, water, or even just having regulation around AI. So it's going to be a little crazy in America, just to be honest, because we have no regulation. Which is things is already crazy now, is we just don't have regulation, to be honest. But this is gonna be a full video. We're gonna talk about the risk, jobs most at risk. We're gonna talk about areas that are potential to grow. We're gonna discuss who will be the most impacted, skills that you need to keep, and so forth. So we're gonna really get into this conversation today. So you're probably like hearing a lot about artificial intelligence. Sam Alton, Elon, you got Gemini, you hear OpenAI, ChatGPT, all these things. First, let's just kind of talk about what artificial intelligence is. I don't even know the true definition of it. So let me ask artificial intelligence, what's the definition? What is the definition of artificial? And then I'll say it in layman terms too. Okay. I'm going to have some slides. Really going to spend some time together today. Artificial intelligence is the branch of computer science focused on creating machines and software that can perform tasks that typically require human intelligence. Okay. It gave me a lot of information, but that's what we're going to stick to. Okay. In other words, it is a computer that is helping processes to move quicker. Okay. Faster, etc. Now, we've been using artificial intelligence for quite some time, honestly, but it has been being upgraded constantly. So now we're at a level where it's really going to reskill jobs, replace jobs, in some jobs, and so forth. So everyone's kind of scared to say that for some reason, or maybe I'm not at the level that I'm not supposed to say that. So I'm going to tell y'all the real in this video. We're going to talk about it seriously. If you notice that Sam Alton, this is now August 12th, 2025. So whenever you watch this video, I hope it helps you and I hope you're having a great day. He started talking about, oh, too many people are trusting artificial intelligence and we really need to put some regulation around it. People truly need to we need to get government involved, like about 3 weeks ago. Okay. Go figure. We should have been talking about it before it got released. But he's really now starting to say we need regulation, we need laws around AI and so forth, which is really interesting. The concerns that I will say that stick out really, really honestly for me is that American citizens, I don't care what type, what level citizen you're at, whether you are high income earner, middle class, working poor, homeless, no one has really been trained to get into for artificial intelligence to be integrated into their life. Not the exceptions. I'm talking about the rule. I'm talking about the majority of citizens. Of course, there's some people that are all involved in AI. They know what's coming up. They probably been reskilling themselves and so forth. But it's going to be a lot of people who are going to be caught up in job losses, layoffs, um, just the world of work changing and them not understanding that we're leaving the world of where you apply and get a job. We are literally moving to where you'll be more project based, independent contractor, um, and also just kind of maybe creating your own income. Okay. And that's like entrepreneurship, business, and so forth. So everybody's not, a lot of people use that talking point that everybody's supposed to be an entrepreneur, everybody's gonna be an entrepreneur, and everybody's gonna be okay. Yeah, everybody's not gonna be an entrepreneur. That is just an unrealistic. That's like telling the world everybody gonna be a millionaire. That's a talking point used by people selling an agenda, selling ice cream. Okay. What they say, selling ice cream to the ice cream man. I don't know. Okay. That is just unrealistic. That's not real. We're gonna keep it real over here. Now, everybody can have an entrepreneur mindset that will help them to navigate the times ahead, and everyone can make sure they can upskill themselves and so forth. What are some things to be concerned about, which I've been discussing quite heavily, and then we're going to get into this conversation. One thing to be concerned about is that the job market is going to shift so much that, especially here in the US, that it's going to cause those who are retired, well, because of the cost of living being 100 times more than the pay, and us not having any type of healthcare, universal healthcare, no type of UBI, really no type of true social system. It's going to cause people who would normally be out of the workforce and retired to come back into the workforce to work to survive. Okay. Which is not good, because it's a reason why you want people to retire, because you have people who are graduating from college, high school, who need those jobs. So now they're going to be competing with people who should not even be in the workforce. Okay. And those people are going to be mostly part time people, because they're just trying to supplement their income, and they also can be more project based and so forth, where the young folks are still trying to, they're just now getting their footing, so they really need that full-time job. But companies, of course, because there's really no regulation or no, you know we're America's very capitalistic, is very much on it's very inequality right now. We really don't have a lot of regulations around a lot of things. So companies are going to be focused on high revenues, making sure they can produce their stock pricing, keep their stocks high, and so forth. So what's going to happen is they're going to pick those workers that are going to be more part-time folks, right? And don't need to be paid full-time. And they're going to use artificial intelligence to replace, a lot of those full-time jobs. So that's going to make the job market completely different than anything that I've ever dealt with in life, you've ever dealt with in life. And a lot of people are just not going to understand it, because they're going to be confused. They're going to be like, well, where did the jobs go? That's literally what you're going to keep hearing. You're already hearing people say, I've been out the job market for 8 months, or I've been looking for a job for 2 years. And they don't really understand what's happening, and I'm not, you know, a celeb or popular on that level to where my voice would be used and be everywhere to so people can hear this. That artificial intelligence has been being created by large corporations. Probably this is 2025. The last 10 years I know about, probably the last 20 years to be honest. Okay. And so they are at a point now where they have perfected it, and it is being released into the structure, into their revenue streams, and into their production of their business. With that being said, they don't need to hire as many people. So that's why you're getting the thing of ghost jobs. Also, I believe it was a narrative being created to say people didn't want to work, so that when the machines, so to say, get released that are replacing these jobs, some people would be like, well, I didn't want to work anyway. But a lot of people will know that's not true, because it was a lot of people who were looking for work over this last 2 years who have said this job market has been absolutely horrendous. Okay. So hopefully that gives you a little background of kind of where we are today, August 12th of 2025, with artificial intelligence and the updates. So now I'm going to pull up my slides and we're going to go through these slides together. Okay. Give me a second. It's just that is just not going to work. So give me 1 second. We'll get it going. I'm just happy that I can finally get this done. You guys just don't know. I have been trying to get this out so people would have a good reference for quite some time. Okay. Now, let me share my screen. Let me go PowerPoint. Okay. So artificial intelligence update by yours truly. Now, let's get into this. Now, ignore the parts on this because I just kind of wanted to discuss certain things first and then move to other things. So, part one is really going to be about industries that will always be needed. So, let's discuss this. What are industries you're always going to be needed? And the reason why these industries are going to be needed: food production, distribution, farming, fisheries, food logistics. People need to eat. Okay. No matter what's going on in the world, people are going to want to eat and people are going to need to eat. So farming, especially farming that is using artificial intelligence, or I would say community farming, is going to become huge. Those are going to be industries that are going to blow up like nobody's business. Okay. Food logistics and fisheries. Okay. Because I believe where we at as a society with all the food insecurity we already have, the monopolies we have when it comes to food, and corporations that are not, being the best stewards, is what we'll just say, is causing a lot of problems. This is one of those industries that are going to take off. So if you are like, I just don't know what to do, this is an industry that you can go into. You can have your children go into, your kids go into. I just read something about a young lady who's like one of the youngest certified farmers. I think she's in South Carolina. Like, I was like, hats off to that parent, because she has a skill, first of all, for life that is going to keep her above the rest of everybody else. And on top of that, she is so young. So just imagine how things change, how she's going to be able to go with the narrative, and how quickly that'll be. I'm going to try to find that article real quick because I know I posted it in my story. And it says Kendall Ray Johnson, the youngest USD certified farmer in the U.S., earned scholarship to South Carolina University. Now, I know she's from South Carolina, but she's going to South Carolina University. She earned a scholarship. So look her up if you have kids and you're trying to figure out which way to encourage them to go. Of course, energy and water system, electricians, plumbers, and engineers. I was watching Diary of the CEO. Like, that's one of the podcasts I watch, like, just sometimes when I'm working and so forth. And one of the first founders of AI literally was like, train to be a plumber. Okay. If you want a skill, you can survive through this. That is one of the things he suggested. And a lot of kids are starting to go into trades instead of doing 4-year colleges. Now, that is something I've been telling everybody for quite some time, is going to go to a skill-based society. I've been saying it at least for the last 10 years. Notice I said AI was getting released 10 years ago, and I'm telling you, I could tell everything's going to move to a skill-based society. And so you really want to focus on those skills. It's no longer be about what degree you have. It's going to be about what skills do you have that you can interact into the market really quickly, and how quickly can you learn the next skill. Okay. So energy and water systems, healthcare and caregiving. And the reason why I say these definitely will always be needed, because especially in healthcare and caregiving, even though it's going to be a lot of artificial intelligence for nursing, especially medications through hospitals. You're seeing robots doing surgery already. Hopefully, you're already watching all of this and seeing it here. And I'll try to pull up some videos of some machines so you can see a good update. But a lot of people are still going to want human beings to be with their family members. And so to me, that is always going to be something that is always going to be needed from birth to elderly care. Some people are just not going to trust a robot. Okay. Public safety and crisis response. So firefighters, medics, emergency planners. Again, some people are going to really be heavy about, hey, I'd rather have a human being doing these things instead of a robot. But trust me, they have robots that can do everything at this point. So I can't say no industry is going to be touched. It's just going to be some industries are going to be touched a whole lot more than others. Education and mentorship. Now, this is interesting. I'm not education in the traditional sense. Okay, education more in real world learning and cultural preservation. So one reason why you're gonna see me start sharing more lives, talking more videos, I'm actually adding a Patreon so we can have deeper conversations and things of that nature is because of preservation. It's going to be people in the future who are going to be looking for stuff to try to see how things were. How do we get where we are 10 years from now, 5 years from now? And I want to make sure that it's documented. So think about those who are going to be teaching in public. People are going to want to hear from human beings who remembers how things were, who can teach me how to sew, who can teach me how to weld, who can teach me how to plumb. That is going to be some skills that a lot of people are going to get away from, and those people who keeps those original skills are going to kind of be in high demand at some point in all throughout this, because a lot of people are just not going to want to use the machines. You're going to kind of have two worlds or two communities going on. You've heard a lot of people talk about the great split. Some people just say it's going to be people who are lower level consciousness, it's going to be higher level consciousness. A lot of people now starting to say, oh, there's going to be people who are going to be heavily community based. It's going to be people who are going to be like, I'm going to get the brain chip in my brain so I can think quicker than everybody else. It's going to be people who are going to be like, absolutely not. I want to grow my own food. I want to make sure that everything is natural and so forth. So you're seeing that, and then as well as the next empires rising. So we're going through a lot of different changes all at once. So think real world learning, cultural preservation, and that nature. Local community services. Notice I keep saying local. Things are going to really get back down to what is happening in that local community. How is that community helping each other? Do they come together? What infrastructure do they have? What housing do they have for their residents and so forth? You're going to see, especially in America, especially as things continue to change and we go through this shift, people are going to get back to local community. Okay. Now let's kind of talk about these risks. And I didn't get heavy into it at the beginning, but I kind of talked about it just a little bit and what's going to happen with AI and of course the Black community. You haven't noticed I'm Black, but I want to talk about overall impact to communities, because if you're living near a data center, you should be concerned. I don't care if you're Black or white, Hispanic, Asian. I just focus more on us because we are the ones that are constantly getting whatever for whatever reason. So that's just kind of where my focus goes in. But I'm also always concerned about the greater person, the citizens overall, too. It just happens that for some reason we are constantly under attack. Okay. But Black community impact. So higher representation in at-risk jobs, meaning that we are heavy in trucking, we are heavy in manufacturing, we are heavy in customer service jobs. Those three areas alone are going to be transformed overnight. When they release the self-driving trucks onto the roads, when they release the customer service agents in manufacturing, warehouse robots, which are already have been getting trained here for at least 5 years. I know that for a fact. I can tell you that in where was I at? Oh, Nashville, about 5 or 6 years ago. and it was a lady who lived in, I think, Philadelphia area. They were already testing the driverless Lyft and Ubers. Now a lot of people starting to see them now, but they were testing at 5 to 6 years ago. Okay, truck drivers and the United States Postal Service. United States Postal Service was testing their self-driving mail trucks 5 years ago in parts of Texas. Trucks. They've been testing trucks for a while, y'all. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Y'all just don't know about it, but they have. Okay. So when they do roll that out, it is going to flip that industry overnight. Those are some of the high industries that are going to get flipped overnight. That's going to lose the most jobs. Okay. Lower access to AI related retraining programs. So meaning that we usually have less technology in our areas. I'm not talking about the exception. I'm talking about the rule. Okay. I know somebody will come in here. Oh, I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I'm doing this. I'm not talking about you. I'm so proud of you. I'm talking about the rule. Okay. Greater vulnerability in regions with limited economic diversification. So a lot of us have been dealing with, you know, not being paid equitably, not having the same access to capital resources, not being able to sell our houses at the same rates as our counterparts, and this and other. That pretty much limits our economic mobility, okay, which impacts our whole community. And that is where a lot of our regions where our Black population is concentrated is suffering because economic wise, we're always under attack somewhere. Okay. Digital divide slows adaptation to AI driven job markets. So a lot of the basically us not being able to understand the digital world. Even though my mom was visiting me and she was all on Gemini, I don't use AI like that. I mean, she was talking at her phone and this and that. But I'm also a person that only have Alexa, whatever the lady name is, Bridget. I don't know what her name is. What's that thing y'all be talking to in y'all house? I don't use none of that. Okay, I just finally put some cameras, like, around, but it still ain't gonna be in certain areas because that's y'all. I like to feel like I have a little privacy, even though I know they tracking everything. Okay. Historic underinvestment is in infrastructure limits, resilience, and capacity. So of course, we get underinvested in every capacity you can imagine. So that impacts us as a whole. So this is why the Black community is going to have the heaviest impact. And that was the main reason I started studying AI. I don't even know how, I know how I came across it. I lie. IBM reached out to me because I am in the business world. And they asked me to attend a conference. Now, this is not the first time I heard of AI. I actually was in a conference physically and was hearing about AI and how most of the workers will become independent contractors by a certain year. Okay. I was in a conference looking at all the systems to be able to process payroll for independent contractors. And this was, again, over 6 years ago. And then IBM started reaching out to me and I was ignoring them. And I was like, what, let me go to this conference and see. So they started talking about AI and they really was unapologetic about the data. And the only thing I had to see was that Black workers will be impacted 5 to 10 times worse than everyone else. So everybody's saying, oh, Black women got laid off. We had 300,000 Black women that got laid off in the last few months. Now, no one's saying really why. Okay. This is because AI is getting ready to get released. That is really what it is in a nutshell, right? Also, you have a lot of changes that are happening within the world just because of everything that's happening and what's going on in current administration and so forth. And you also have people who are just working on saving themselves. That's literally what you're dealing with right now. Okay. And sorry, I had to send something to my team. I apologize. But so what that comes to is that Black women will get impacted heavily because what jobs are we normally in? We're normally in customer service jobs. We're not heavy in manufacturing, but that's going to impact our Black men. Many of us, Black women, Black men, are in trucking because that was one of the number one businesses for quite some time that Black people end up going into, whether they are dispatching, whether they're the driver, owner, operator, whether they're doing the short term trips and so forth. We were in that job, right? So that is one of the job areas that's going to get impacted the heaviest. That is really going to impact us, guys. So we have to go through that transition, and not to say we're not going to figure it out, but it's better if you are aware so you can then, prepare. And then some people are not going to be prepared, which is going to be totally fine. Just try not to freak out, okay? Now, hopefully you'll give people this video. Tell them go check this out so they can figure out what to do next, okay? Now let's talk about the climate, water, and energy impact, because it is not a lot of conversation about this, but if you are starting to hear a lot of communities that are being impacted, they are starting to discuss this heavily. Pretty much AI data centers are not going to go. I went through the Black community heavily because if you know what I do in real life, I am that person. I am not afraid to talk about us and advocate for us. And I will always be that person once I realize that some people are. That's just me. So I'm going to kind of wrap up the climate, water, energy impact into one. Okay. So pretty much the AI data centers that you're hearing about, and you're hearing about them going into communities and so forth, but no one's telling you that they need water to keep the computers cool, and they need energy to run. So they're in your community, your water and your energy is going to be impacted unless they are doing some reusable type of building and so forth. But that is not happening in America really yet. I'm hearing about a couple that are kind of locally managed AI, and I may be saying that wrong, the wrong terminology, but I know it's like LMM instead of being local, instead of like open AI or based there. And so these data centers are going to be massive, and the trajectory of how many data centers they're planning on building in the US alone is absolutely asinine and ridiculous. I'm just going to be honest. We don't need any data centers. But because there's competition, and because the US is still heavy capitalistic, and no one has really thought, oh, we probably should just come together so we don't impact the environment. Because what good if you have AI and you don't even have no water to drink? I just want you to think about that. Who cares about me being able to work something quick on my phone or my computer, and I don't even have clean water to even take a bath in? This is how serious this is. So we got to get some regulation around that. We have to, or I can't breathe, because that's what's happening right now. Look it up in Memphis. It's some serious stuff going on. So, and of course, who gets impacted the most? Unfortunately, Black communities, because a lot of our some of our Black politicians do not understand that you can't just be about money and bringing something to your community if it's going to impact the overall health of that community and the infrastructure of that community. Is going to cause bills to rise, or it's going to cause the water to not be able to be utilized. And so some states I see are already telling people to take shorter showers and this, that, and other. We're going to see how Americans handle this. Okay. We're a little spoiled in America, be including me. We like to be able to turn on our water. We like to be able to turn on our lights and things work. Okay. So this is going to be a heavy shift. And as people really start seeing how it's impacting the environment, people will start saying no AI data centers allowed in my community, which is already happening in Indiana. I was talking to somebody the other day. They already have signs up. They are not playing. Okay. So critical actions. Okay. We need to really get targeted workforce development and retraining happening. For those who are in the workforce area, it is just time. You have to begin to advocate heavy for retraining, reskilling, for people to go into jobs that are actually going to be around. What concerns me and really is a lot concerning is that the kids that are in school right now, even in college, they're getting trained for stuff that's not going to be there. I'm just gonna be honest with you guys. You know, the good thing is that a lot of the kids I do talk to, they are already thinking outside the box of jobs that are not that are not currently existing. They are really creating their own type of jobs, and they're really thinking about community type um jobs, like where I build for the community. We build friendly, equal this. We do, like I'm talking about the high school students that are going to college right now. This is what they are talking about. So that means they came in with information that the older generation was not unaware of, and they already know what is needed next. Okay. The next thing I would say, and I don't know if I can move my box or no. Sorry, that changed the whole thing. Um, Community owned renewable energy and water infrastructure. Gonna need that. Local AI literacy program to close adoption gap. Policy advocacy to protect vulnerable job sectors. I mean, we're kind of behind on that, but it would be good to do that. Investments in resilience planning for urban and rural Black communities. So, for those who are staying in America, because a lot of people are choosing to leave, and everybody's going to choose their own option, you're really going to have to get heavy into planning resiliency for Black and rural communities. Okay. So, let's talk about energies most at risk. I already talked about this. Admin clerical, customer service. We already talked about that. Basic content creation. That's marketing copy, generic blogs, manufacturing assembly. I already discussed this. Basic accounting, middle management, even top management. You start to see a lot of videos about CEOs being replaced with AI. Okay. This is how the middle class is going to get really removed in America if we don't get a hold of this. Legal research and pure legal work, which if you haven't paid attention to lawyers, I've been talking to lawyers probably last 3 or 4 years, and a lot of them say, yes, we are very much aware that AI is going to change how the legal world is working. Now, you already are seeing the viral clips of Zoom meetings, right? Where Zoom court cases where the judge is there, the two lawyers are there, the defendant is there, and you're seeing them doing everything virtual. So as soon as you start seeing that, guys, I want you to think that is when you know the computer is about to get added. Pretty soon, that will be a judge, there will be an AI agent, there will be lawyers who are AI, and it will be who's making the decision, who's arguing the case, if they even argue it. Because my understanding, they're going to have a mitigation um, lawyer that's going to really handle a lot of the first cases, and the decisions are just going to be made. Okay. And I know for a fact that Walmart has been one of the companies testing this out for years, because they were not Walmart itself, but the law firm that was using AI lawyers that got at Walmart to hire them maybe 5 or 6 years ago. He was already testing this out for the first look at cases around the country, which he was talking about how everybody got pissed at him because, of course, that removed a lot of money from lawyers that were able to get money from each city or state. He was able to put everything into the AI system for each city and state, and they were able to look at the first cases when people try to call and sue Walmart. Okay. So, basic contract lawyers from base legal work, financial analysts and basic advisors, diagnostic medical specialists, radiologists and pathologists, standardized teaching roles, fixed curriculum delivery. Remember when they said education stuff, and I went through that whole how it's going to change. And some schools are already using AI teachers this year. I don't know if you're following it, but just look it up. Routine agriculture laboring, so planting, harvesting, and monitoring. So that will be the things that a robots will be able to do, and it will be most impacted. So who will be most impacted? Meaning who, where? Funny, I already said this, right? Lower income workers 2 times more likely to have roles replaced than high income workers. Now, that's 2 times more. That doesn't mean if you're a high income worker that your role won't get replaced. So don't take that as, oh, I'm safe, because that's not true. Again, the things you need to do is have be able to learn skills quickly, navigate the world really quickly, and so forth. Women in admin support jobs, okay, 50 to 60% at risk in the next 5 years. Now, I would say that a lot of admin roles are going to change with the type of task that you're doing. So if the AI can, for example, you're probably gonna be better off if you work for like a smaller business owner and so forth than you may be if you work for a large company. Okay, that's one thing I'll say. Because normally small business, mid-sized business have more of a direct connection, right, to their employees than a corporation. So they're more likely going to reskill your role into doing some other tasks, or maybe working with the AI and make sure the AI is answering the phone calls, make sure the AI is programmed to do whatever it needs to do. And you may get more into like other type of tasks. Okay. So think about it that way. If you're working with mid-sized small business owners. Now, if you're in a corporation, you're in an admin role, that's going to be kind of tough, because I feel like most corporations are going to be looking at, honestly, just from me knowing how corporations like to hit their bottom line and their revenue, unless they are really into the heart of their employees, they're going to be looking to probably replace their CEOs. Okay. If you're an admin to a CEO, you know what that means. Workers without college degrees, say 55% more vulnerable, but I kind of debate that, debunk that, just because I say if you are a person, whether you have a college degree or not, and this is one stat that just came out, and the reason why I'm going to say a little about this too is they are saying that if it doesn't matter if you have a college degree, high school diploma, right now the way the job market is, you guys are playing at the same level. That stat already came out like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Okay. And the reason why that is the case is because if you're a high school diploma graduate, GED graduate, and you know how to learn quickly and have certain skills, you're going to get the opportunity before that college graduate. That's just how it's going to go. Also, if you've been able to network, and really what has, I'm going to tell you where this is why this is going to play a little bit differently and a lot differently. Most time, folks who have went to college are more indoctrinated, and they only kind of have their network at college. And not to say that can't be beneficial, but you guys are all in the same type of bubble, right? You all have degrees, you all have went through the same type of education. Where a person that went from high school more than likely has been working since they graduated, meaning they probably have had multiple jobs, been in multiple roles, have a vast network. Okay. This is literally going to come down. The reason why I'm speaking about network is because where we're entering is a way of where you won't be able just to apply for a job. You're going to have to see a job opening, probably reach out to someone in your network and have that person pull you in. This is, we're going to have, it's going to be more of a relationship type based opportunity um, market is where we're going to be in. Now, you can come back to this video 5 years from now and be like, this girl totally didn't know what she was talking about, or you could be like, the girl was spot on. Okay. So this is where a college grad is going to be at a deficit where a high school grad will not, because the high school graduate has spent those years building their network, working multiple jobs, more than likely, especially if they're a go-getter. Okay. Have entrepreneur mindset, and they've been building those things and they've been moving around. Okay, college grad is more, when I say indoctrinated, is more my college degree is going to open the door for me. You're now no longer, well, people are already complaining about it. That's no longer the case, and they're already seeing that. So we have moved into that market. Younger workers in entry level jobs, fewer stepping stone roles available, which is a very big concern for me, because to me, this is where young people really learn how to, be responsible, learn their first type of relationship building skills on a different level, just even understanding how to work for somebody else and so forth. So I don't know how that's going to impact our young people, but I do understand that a lot of people have been reporting data that Those that are in high school and those who are just graduating from college, they are not able to find jobs right now. It is meaning that percentage of them that can't find jobs has been is astronomically high right now, which is not good. Communities dependent on one industry, greater risk of mass job when it comes to automation once it hits the sector. So, which will be a lot of rural, black, urban communities. Um, so, for example, I'm in a community that's heavy manufacturing right now. And I don't know what their plans are to bring AI in and how that look like for the workers, but that will impact the community, right? Okay, so let's talk about the basic skills you want to keep. Now, I told you guys it's going to be a long video because this is such a critical change in our society. I do not want to rush through this, and I want this video to be out here and free. Now, you will be able to sign up for my Patreon, and we'll start doing deep quarterly dives into different topics that will be beneficial to help you navigate this. But this right here, just the basic information, I want this accessible to everybody who is ready to receive it, whenever you are ready to receive it. So, critical thinking, basic skills to keep and strengthen. All right. Can't say this enough. You're going to need the critical thinking, evaluate, not just accepting AI outputs. Okay. It means you need to think, what did AI just tell me? Does this make sense? Etc. You want to keep those skills in line. Okay. So, really, if you are raising children, limit screen time, really work with them on their critical thinking skills, have them make decisions, just basic decisions. What color do you like to wear today? How are you feeling today? Really start asking them questions that's going to keep their mind working. They already are having reports saying that um you are that they are seeing where the younger folks are already using like brain skills. I'm not saying it right, but just saying they are not having critical thinking skills, their emotional intelligence is down, all those things. So what you're gonna have to do as a parent, you're gonna have to work harder to make sure those things are alive and well in your children, and you keep it in yourself too. Reading people, building trust, right? And that's building relationships, and we already know that's down. Okay. Hands-on repair and maintenance, keeping things running locally. So, I think of it like, for example, keeping you a small garden and teaching your kids how to grow, teaching yourself how to grow, continuing to do that. Keeping you a small, like, you don't have to become a homesteader, because some people like, this is too much work, it's too much money. You don't have to go to the extreme, right? But just know how to do it for yourself, just in case you have to lean on that skill. Also, being connected to farmers, right? Start really figuring out where your farmers at in your area. Really start going to those workshops, start connecting with them. Trust me, you want to do it before the time is needed. Okay. Um, and then any type of maintenance things, anything skill set you have that you know how to replace a sink, this, that, and other, man. Start teaching that. Make sure you remember how to do that. Don't let that go. Okay. Negotiating and conflict resolution skills. Now, this is going to be huge because emotional intelligence is already down. You see suicide. I listened to statistics today, actually, which it was shocking to me. They were saying UK and US suicides are through the roof right now, highest have they ever been in our existence. So that tells you that people are not able to handle reality right now. And I could just tell just from the daily interactions, the things you may see sometimes on social media where this person's going into Walmart, shooting people. The person's upset because the boyfriend broke up with the girlfriend broke up with the boyfriend. They're shooting each other, killing each other, women and men. It ain't just one or the other. I'm seeing it on both ends. That means people's emotional intelligence has been totally removed. Their conflict resolution skill is not there right now, which is a scary place for our society to be. And this is where I go back to the basics of the American citizen. We got to start being, we are, most people like, well, just get your gun, make sure you're ready to shoot this and that. I'm like, now, how do we make our society just be more, just another human being beside me? How do I handle conflict? Everybody doesn't have to agree with me. They're not being toxic to me just because we have a difference of opinion. Like, how do we get back to those basics? That is something that needs to be studied. This conversation after that, but that is something that I have noticed that has happened in American society that is definitely a concern and a red flag. Okay. Adaptable communication, speaking across cultures and tech, and learning how to learn. I already said all that. You got to learn how to learn quickly. Like industries that will grow. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Let's talk about the growth industries now. AI and advanced tech development, engineers, AI trainers, okay? Cybersecurity, AI security tech, architects, threat analysis, creative strategy, brand strategists, creative directors, okay? Skilled trades, you hear me repeating. Electricians, plumbers, renewable installers, healthcare, human services, surgeon, nurses, therapists. Again, I'm telling you, it's going to be people who are going to want a human being in those areas. So that is a good skill to go into and keep. Regenerative agriculture, soil restoration, and precision farming. Okay, you want to know, the farmers that know how to get it done, honey, keep that skill. Resilience experts, water management, food systems. You see how they brought water management into that? We ain't gonna talk about that right now. High level legal experts, trial lawyers, complex negotiators. Okay. Education innovators, mentorships, cultural education, global supply chain strategists, food and energy logistics. Now, I feel like that last one is going to be huge. That is something that I've been saying. We have to start making global connections. I don't know why that's in my brain, but that's just very important to me right now. So that is pretty much my update on AI. I didn't know that was the last slide. Let me stop sharing. So what I will say, hopefully this video helps you. We went through some time. We took our time with it. We went through all the industries you need to be really looking into. We kind of talked about the updates on AI and so forth and how you can navigate, okay, in this new world we're going to be in. I didn't want this video to be like hype. I really wanted to get down to the business and us to have the conversation and discuss so you can be prepared, get your family ready, get yourself ready, whoever you need to navigate it with. The things I will tell you that you need to do right now. If you're like, I just don't know, Ranique, this is just too much. I'm overwhelmed and so forth. First thing is breathe. Okay? You were here for a reason during this time. You either God put you here for a reason. If you're spiritual, you feel like you chose this lifestyle to be here to help humanity through this change and shift, and so forth. So that's the first thing you're going to do. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to just really make a list. I think I went through this already in one of my videos talking about if you just experienced a layoff, what to do, how to handle your income, how to make sure you understand your base costs. Also understand what skills you have that can make you money. Everybody has skills that can make the money, especially if you've already been in the workforce for years. So write down those skills that you can make money from, and then begin to identify who's those contacts that you can begin to reach out to figure out those opportunities. Okay. And get community. Now I know in America you've been taught to be hyper independent. You don't need anybody. You're a team of one. Blase scoop, all the things they didn't talk and put into your subconscious training. Let me tell you this. You have to have 1 or 2 people that you can count on no matter what. I didn't say you needed all your family. I didn't say you needed to have a mate. That's not what I said. I said you got to have at least 1 to 2 people that you can count on no matter what. You have to build community. This is going to be extremely critical. Eventually, Americans are going to understand they're going to have to build community to even have some sort of country that is going to make it through the shift. That's going to take some time before they get there. Okay. So you are going to have to learn how to build community on your own. Okay. And community shifts. So as you grow as a person, as your dynamic change, as that person grows, as their dynamic change, y'all, that community may shift, but make sure you have community some way, somehow. Okay. Identify that. If you are isolated, you do not want to be isolated at this time. Isolated does not mean that you live alone. Isolated means that you don't have community, that one or two person. Okay. That no matter what happened, they got you. If y'all had to, for some reason, come live together, y'all would live together. Yes, we are in that time. Okay. So I hope this helps you. I finally did my AI update. I'm excited to get it out. I feel accomplished today. I got a lot more work to do, but it's the end of the day. We don't overwork anymore. Okay. We don't overwork. I don't overwork no more. Y'all may still do it. I don't do it no more though. So this stuff will be waiting till tomorrow. But whenever you watch this, good morning, good evening, good night. I hope you are enjoying life. Remember, you are here to experience heaven on earth, or you could choose to experience hell. So you got to remember, even through all these shifts and all these changes, be grateful, be in a positive mindset no matter what is happening. I promise things will work out for you. You will figure it out. If no one else tells you that, I'm telling you that. Talk to you guys later. Be blessed.